An injured bald eagle is in recovery after a fall from its nest in the Villages. A boss of a cleaning crew is accused of a sexual assault in the Villages. A pair was arrested with drugs at the Finney Bar and Grill. A new 55-plus development community is using the Villages as a reason to sell their homes. A retired pastor in the Villages went nuts over a noisy speakerphone. Officials are predicting more traffic congestion at an overburdened intersection. CDD 8 officials trying to shut down conversation about the Little White Cross. A snowbird was knocked out of a golf cart after a villager turned right into their path. A woman living in a villa in the Villages is accused of fraud and theft. How many holes in one's golf we get this week? Letters to the editor. This and more coming up. Thanks everybody for coming to the news again this Friday. We have some updates. Let's get right to them. A villager will lose his driver's license as the result of a drunk driving arrest after crashing in a roundabout. Richard Eugene Rogers, 59, of the village of Pennycamp, pleaded no contest this past month in Sumter County Court to a charge of driving under the influence. He will lose his driver's license for 6 months, has been placed on probation for 1 year, and has been ordered to perform 80 hours of community service. That'll be his update. I think this is the update on the guy I believe we reported last week that shot his stove and caused a fire and almost totaled out his house. I think I've got a picture of it. If I do, I'll put it right back here. A competency evaluation has been ordered for a villager charged with arson. Kevin Cordry, 66, continues to be held without bond at the Sumter County Detention Center. He is facing a charge of arson as well as a weapons offense. Cardry was arrested in December following a May 31 fire at his home in the Rhett Villas in the village of Linden. He was airlifted from the scene and treated at UF Health Shands Hospital in Gainesville. That's his update. This one goes back a little ways. This is a lady that worked over at Spruce Creek. I think she's a bartender there or a waitress. I forget. Anyway, she run into somebody in a golf cart, if I remember right. A bartender at Dale Webb Spruce Creek will not be prosecuted after her Camaro crashed into a golf cart last year in the 55-plus community of Summerfield. Christina Gail Riley, 46, of Ocklawaha, was headed to work on the morning of October 28th when she crashed into a golf cart at Southeast 130th Loop and Dale Webb Boulevard, according to the Rescue Department of Florida Highway Patrol. The crash left an 85-year-old Spruce Creek woman with a head injury. During the investigation of the crash, Riley participated in field sobriety exercising, leading to her arrest. She offered a breath sample, but it measured .000 blood alcohol content. She also provided a urine sample. At the time of the crash, she was abnormally energetic, excited, and talkative. She had been facing a charge of driving under the influence. However, an attorney representing Riley filed a motion to suppress evidence in the case, including the urine sample. The motion to suppress the urine sample was granted. I don't know why. The suspension of the urine sample played a role in the state attorney's decision not to proceed with the case. An announcement of no information was filed this past week in the Marion County courts. And that's her updates. This will be the last update right here. A villager had been sentenced on a drunk driving charge which came as a result of reports of reckless driving. Michelle Blocker, 72, of the village of St. Charles, has been placed on probation for 1 year, will lose her driver's license for 6 months, and has been ordered to perform 40 hours of community service. And that's the final update. So let's get on with some more news. Let's have some more news. Crestwind at Hammock Oaks is springing up fast in Lady Lake, and the marketing effort appears to strongly emphasize its proximity to the Villages. Opening this spring, the 55-plus development is part of a huge Hammock Oaks development bordered by County Road 466, Rolling Acres Road, Lake Ella Road, and Cherry Lake Road. Most of the marketing around Crestwind Hammock Oak features references to the Villages and all the entertainment, shopping, and dining that Florida's friendliest hometown has to offer. However, the builder, Coulter Home, promises a more intimate community setting. The Crestwind community is planning to offer plenty of amenities for its residents, such as Smart Fit Training Center, powered by EGYM. I guess that's EGYM. Traditional Fitness Center, Yoga and Cardio Studio. Resort-style pool with sun deck, 8 pickleball courts, 2 tennis courts, 2 bocce courts, horseshoe courts, art studio, event spaces, walking trails, full-time lifestyle programming. Much of the Hammock Oaks development will be governed by a community development district that is not HOA. People keep saying we have an HOA. We do, but it's voluntary to join. I'm not a member of the HOA. I don't see the point. They don't have any power here. The district rules is what powers every district in the villages. That CDD board will meet at Fruitland Park Public Library. So this is what I've said before. Is it legal? Sure, it's not a problem. But every development around us, including apartment dwellings and everything else, they use the villages as a reason to sell those homes. The problem with that is everybody comes down to the squares at night because it's free entertainment, the restaurants and things. All that is actually open to the public. Our championship golf courses, the restaurants in those are open to the public, and that's all well and good. But if you're coming here as a resident and you think all this stuff is going to be for you, this news is trying to point out to you, this is the problem we're having here. Everybody around us wants access to the stuff that we consider to be villages residents stuff, and it's not. It makes things so crowded, so confusing, so overwhelming that people are complaining now saying we're older and we just don't do the things we used to do. Mostly it's because they can't. They go to the squares, there's nowhere to park. They go to a restaurant, they can't even get in. And it's getting worse and worse and worse as time goes on. Just know this before you buy a home here, and then you find out later that this is going on. And I don't want to see you walking around going, I didn't know. The Community Development District 8 Board of Supervisors has tried to shut down any public debate of the Little White Cross legal case. In an unusual twist, CDD 8's legal counsel opened Friday's monthly meeting at Seabreeze Rec Center by reading a revised public comment policy that prohibits any discussion of the lawsuit filed by the CDD 8 against Wayne Anderson, who was elected to the board in 2024. The truth is, the board has no power to tell you what you can and can't discuss. That would have to come from a court. It's called a gag order. Anderson has been fighting for years for the right to display a little white cross at his home in the village of Tamarind Grove. The revised public comment policy was aimed at preventing Anderson or members of the public from talking about an ongoing legal dispute during the board meetings. Now they're trying to tell the public what they can and can't talk about. I don't think you can do that. I'll talk about it all day long. Come and tell me I can't. However, Anderson was not deterred and insisted on reading a statement into the record. In the statement, Anderson objected to the fact that CDD 8 has already spent $144,176 in the legal battle to force him to remove his little white cross, which is considered a lawn ornament under the deed restrictions. What they're saying about the deed restriction, that is true. It's considered a lawn ornament, and under our rules, when you buy a home, you know these rules. He's breaking a rule. He knows he is. He's just trying to push his freedom of religious rights, which has nothing to do with that. There's ways of displaying that little white cross, and I've explained it 2 or 3 times. I'm not going to do it here. How you can display that cross, totally legal, and the development district won't say a word to you. But they would rather butt heads like a couple of billy goats. And all this money is coming from homeowners fees, Anderson said. He predicted the lawsuit could continue for many years, requiring more money for legal fees. This lawsuit is a loser. Their arguments have been shot down by the court time after time, hearing after hearing. It must end, Anderson said. He presented a planter with a little white cross mounted on the front. Anderson called it the planter compromise. Fellow board members were not moved. There are over 30,000 crosses in the villages. I am not just speaking for myself, Anderson said. The board also agreed to hold a closed session in March to discuss the status of the case. Anderson will be barred from that closed meeting. He's been elected to the board. That almost sounds illegal in itself. I don't know, Mr. Anderson. You're just as guilty as the board members are as far as this arguing going back and forth. You know what to do to make it legal. You just refuse to do it. And the board members themselves, they could have a legal discussion here, a sensible discussion to get this thing settled, but they'd rather not. Why? Hey, they're spending your money. They're not spending their own money. An official is predicting more congestion at an already overburdened intersection in the villages. Well, that official's a genius. Community Development District 6 Supervisor Peter Mueller weighed in Friday on the heavy backups occurring at the intersection of State Road 44 and Morris Boulevard. I think it's going to get more congested, Mueller said. You think? Cars have been backing up past the roundabout, which serves as an entry point to the popular Rohan Rec Center. Drivers venturing south of State Road 44 have complained that they have been waiting 3 and 4 cycles at the stoplight at the busy intersection. The intersection is about to get much busier as the work has begun on a massive Walmart, and ground has broken earlier this year on the long-rumored Hooters at Lake Deaton Plaza. I can't wait. Mueller represents CDD6 on the project-wide advisory committee, and earlier this month, PWAC members agreed to send a letter to Sumter County voicing concerns about the busy intersection. The growth of villages is fueling heavier and heavier traffic at a rapid rate. The roads around the villages are changing dramatically, Mueller added. And they're deteriorating. And it ain't just the villages. They keep pointing the finger at the villages, and we're probably the largest development here. But as you've read just earlier, this new development across from Caroline and all the apartment buildings that I have featured in some of my videos, and that's just a small portion of them. When I go over to the RV, I can show you 3 or 4 massive developments being done over there off of 301, and there's one on the county road over there as I go by it. All of that is just around us. And it will affect our lifestyle here a lot. An injured bald eagle is recovering after falling from its nest in the villages. The bald eaglet on Saturday fell from its nest on an electrical pylon near the Briarwood Executive Golf Course. One of the many fans of the bald eaglets was nearby and was summoned to take a look. The eaglet, which has not yet learned how to fly, was on the ground and clearly unable to return to the nest. A quick call to Brownwood Birders Club provided a phone number from Anita Del Villas, who runs Featherland Wild Bird Rehab Center in Weirsdale. She agreed to rush over and assess the situation. Heidi Gaumet, who lives in the villages and is an Eagle Watch volunteer for Audubon Society, also responded for the rescue. People were gathering all around the area admiring this eaglet on the ground, but were being very polite and respectful and staying a safe distance from the eaglet so not to scare it. Because DeVillis lives in Weirsdale, she had to park at the Briarwood Postal Station, where she was picked up in a golf car, which transported her and her equipment to the area of the eaglet. She donned very large padded gloves on her hands, carefully put a towel over the eaglet's head, and picked it up. She did a quick assessment by extending the eaglet's wings and probed around the body to see if it had any noticeable injuries. The eaglet was very calm throughout the ordeal and was placed into a blue plastic tub for transport. The eaglet then got its first golf cart ride as it was transported to DeVilla's car. She later sent out text informing those concerned about the bird's status. Looks like she has no broken bones. She is exhibiting some stress. She will go to an Audubon center on Sunday and stay with other birds her age. Goma was going to transport the eaglet to the Audubon Center for Birds of Prey. Well, good for them. These animals, not just here, but around the country, around the world really, they don't have a chance. The destruction of their territory, we keep building, we keep destroying, we keep tearing up. The boss of a cleaning crew has been accused of sexually assaulting one of his employees while on the job in the villages. Gustavo Ferrara, 31 of Orlando, was arrested Wednesday by Sumter County Sheriff's deputies on a felony charge of sexual assault. According to a heavily redacted arrest report, the native of Brazil forced an employee to perform oral sex on him while they were at a job site in the villages. A second female employee told deputies that Ferrara has been making inappropriate sexual comments to other employees, asking about their sexual preferences and suggesting they clean areas in more provocative positions. Ferrara was booked at the Sumter County Detention Center and released after posting a $10,000 bond. Now, here's how I see this. I don't know if he's legal or not legal. I don't know. That'll be for the government and stuff to take care of. But the one thing the villages can do when they do these contracting works is people like this can be banned from ever doing any kind of work for anybody else in the villages. A villager has been arrested in an altercation with a customer who cut in line in front of her at Circle K. Tina Marie Hughes, 64, was arrested on a charge of battery Friday at her home at 1708 Picasso Place in the village of Alhambra. The Ohio native was tracked down after an altercation which took place February 15 at a Circle K at Southern Trace Plaza. Hughes was apparently irked by Hughes was apparently irked by another customer potentially skipping the line. According to the arrest report from the Sumter County Sheriff's Office, the two women began to argue. Hughes reached around the other woman, who was at the checkout counter, and made physical contact with her arm and body. Hughes proceeded to grab the other woman multiple times, prompting the other woman to push her. The deputy reviewed the surveillance footage from Circle K and determined that Hughes had been the primary aggressor in the altercation. I personally don't see it that way, but I'm not the arresting officer. She was booked at the Sumter County Detention Center on a $1,000 bond. Some people are just privileged. They'll just walk in front of you. You're in a gas station waiting to get gas, and somebody will just back in right in front of you, and you can't use it, even though they saw you sitting there waiting. You'll be sitting with your turn signals on waiting for a parking spot, and somebody will just cut right in front of you and pull in there and go, "Too late," and they make fun of you for sitting there waiting. I see it. Not a lot, but I do see it. These are the same people that park their golf carts on the sidewalk, and they'll play dumb to it like, "Well, it's okay. I mean, it's not hurting anybody." Two people were arrested after a K-9 alerted on a vehicle at a restaurant in the Villages. Anthony Frederick Slaughter Garner, 38 of Wildwood, at 5:42 p.m. Monday was driving a GMC Sierra pickup traveling south on County Road 515, approaching Warm Springs Avenue, when a deputy noticed he was not wearing a seatbelt, according to the arrest report of Sumter County Sheriff's Office. He pulled into the parking lot of the Finney Grill. The deputy recognized Slaughter Garner from previous law enforcement encounters and confirmed that he has been classified as a habitual traffic offender with a suspended license. A K-9 unit was summoned to the restaurant parking lot, and the dog alerted on the vehicle. A small scale with the residue of methamphetamine was found on the driver's side floorboard of the truck. A 32-year-old Courtney Lynn Harnage of Leesburg initially tried to lie about her identity. She was found to be in possession of methamphetamine and drug paraphernalia. They both were taken into custody and booked at the Sumter County Detention Center. A hold by Lake County was put on the custody of Harnage, who was arrested in 2018 at a known drug house in Lady Lake. Let me just be point blank here. Anybody out there, if you're taking any kind of drugs, illegal drugs like methamphetamine, cocaine, all that kind of stuff, if you're taking it, stop it. There's only one way out of taking drugs. If you continue, you're going to be dead. And they're just going to pick you up and you're going to be dead. As Sheriff Grady Judd would say, you're going to be graveyard dead. A villager driving without headlights was arrested on a drunk driving charge at Lake Sumter Landing. Robert Earl Alley, 64, of the village of Sable Chase, got into a dark-colored SUV shortly before 11 p.m. Monday, backed out of the parking space, and began driving south on Canal Street without his headlights illuminated, according to the arrest report from the Sumter County Sheriff's Office. A deputy initiated a traffic stop, and when he spoke to Alley, the deputy could smell a very strong smell of an unknown alcoholic beverage coming from inside the vehicle. Alley indicated that he had consumed 3 or 4 beers. When the deputy ran Alley's driver's license, he found that Alley was already wanted on a Sumter County warrant charging him with driving under the influence. Alley refused to participate in field sobriety exercises, but he did provide breath samples that registered .290 and .285 blood alcohol content. He was arrested on a charge of DUI as well as a warrant charging him with a previous DUI. He was booked without bond at the Sumter County Detention Center. A lot of drinking goes on around here, for those of you that don't know. If you're watching this, you definitely know. Tell your friends about my channel. Get them to come and watch. An unlicensed driver from Mexico was arrested after a traffic stop on US 301. Jose Perez, 20, of Oxford, was driving a blue Ford passenger car at 5:48 a.m. Thursday southbound on US 301 when a deputy noticed the vehicle did not have a functioning tag light, according to the arrest report from the Sumter County Sheriff's Office. During a traffic stop, the native of Mexico admitted he does not have a driver's license. He was arrested on a charge of driving without a license. He was issued a written warning for the defective tag light. He was booked at the Sumter County Detention Center and released after posting a $150 bond. I don't know. A New York snowbird has completed a shoplifting course following his arrest last year at a Walmart store in the Villages. Joseph DeGraziano, 65, of Smithtown, New York, who owns a home in the Azale Villas in the village of Tall Trees, was arrested December 8th when he attempted to leave the store at Buffalo Ridge Plaza with merchandise for which he had not paid, according to the Rush Report from Sumter County Sheriff's Office. DeGraziano was caught on surveillance as he selected tools and a disposal and left the store through a grocery exit. He was stopped by a loss prevention officer. The Queens, New York native was identified by his New York driver's license. He was arrested on a charge of theft. Earlier this year, he was placed on probation for 6 months in order to perform 50 hours of community service. However, he completed a 4-hour anti-theft course, and the judge ordered early termination of DeGraziano probation. I probably should have been on updates, sorry. A retired pastor in the Villages reportedly went nuts over a noisy phone conversation in the waiting room of a medical facility, leading to his eventual arrest. I gotta tell you, I don't go nuts. But some of these people, when they talk on their cell phones or whatever, and they do it in places where it's just inappropriate, I don't get it. Do they not have any common sense? Paul Norval Scatrude Mickelson, 72, of the village of St. James, was arrested February 19 following a traffic stop at Pinellas Plaza. During a routine driver's license check, a Wildwood police officer discovered that the retired Lutheran pastor was wanted on a Sumter County warrant charging him with battery. Scatrude Mickelson spent 2 nights at the Sumter County Detention Center before he was released on a $1,000 bond. This week, the law enforcement report was released in connection with the altercation which prompted the warrant. The incident in question dates back to 2022 and occurred at a medical office in Brownwood. A patient was in the waiting room filling out paperwork ahead of her appointment. The woman had a friend on a speakerphone and was talking to her as she was filling out the paperwork. Scatrude Mickelson, who was seated across the waiting room, stood up, snatched the woman's phone from her hands, punched her, and threw her phone across the room, according to the incident report of Wildwood Police Department. The woman pushed Scatrude Mickelson, and they got into an argument. Well, I can tell you right now, he goes to jail. There's just no excuse for that. Going across the room, grabbing a phone and punching somebody. Come on. I got something for you, he told the woman. She did not hesitate to respond. I got something for you, and it's bigger, she said. That's what she said. Officer interviewed witnesses. One of the witnesses said that Scatrude Mickelson was clearly agitated by the noisy phone conversation. There weren't any surveillance cameras in the waiting room. Really? There's surveillance cameras everywhere. I'm just kind of shocked by that. There were no arrests that day, but the information was forwarded to the state attorney's office, and a warrant was later issued for Scatrude Mickelson's arrest. Scatrude Mickelson was a Lutheran pastor for many years in Minnesota, South Dakota, and Montana. Makes you wonder, 3 different states? What's going on there? In 2010, he moved to the Villages and became an associate pastor with Hope Lutheran Church in the Villages. He was seriously injured in a bicycle accident in 2015 and spent 34 days in intensive care. Wow. That must have really been a bad accident. He has not been on the pastoral staff at Hope Lutheran Church for several years. He is due for arraignment March 19th in Sumter County Court. 2 men were arrested after a violent road rage incident which began in a heavy traffic area in the Villages. Emmanuel Roland, 41, of Ocala, was driving a red pickup truck shortly before noon Thursday on State Road 44 near Morse Boulevard, when he got in front of another vehicle and forced it to slow down and pull over, according to a rush report from Sumter County Sheriff's Office. The other driver said he saw Roland and his passenger, 26-year-old Carlos Roman of Summerfield, get out of the truck and approach his vehicle. The pair opened the door of the man's car and punched him in the face multiple times. Jail time, just that simple. He was also punched in the stomach. He was able to lay back in the seat and began kicking Roland and Roman with his feet. They retreated, but Roman kicked the man's vehicle as they walked away. His kick left a dent, and damage is estimated at $500. When Roland and Roman were apprehended, they claimed the other man had been driving recklessly. Roman is facing a felony charge of burglary with assault and battery and a misdemeanor charge of criminal mischief with property damage. He was booked at the Sumter County Detention Center and released after posting an $11,000 bond. Roland, who was previously convicted of burglary in 2005, who was also arrested on a felony charge of burglary with assault and battery, he was booked at the jail and released after posting a $15,000 bond. The intersection where the road rage incident was ignited has been under recent scrutiny due to heavy traffic. An 84-year-old villager has been sentenced in a smoking hot drunk driving arrest. Concita Ann Martinez of the village of Tamarind Grove, who serves as activities chair for the Sumter Singles Club, pleaded no contest this past week in Sumter County Court to a charge of driving under the influence. She will lose her driver's license for 6 months, has been placed on probation for 1 year, and was ordered to perform 50 hours of community service. Martinez was driving a four-door Toyota Camry, which was swerving in and out of lanes on Buena Vista Boulevard at about 8:30 p.m., October the 8th, according to the arrest report from the Sumter County Sheriff's Office. A 911 caller told a dispatcher that the car was smoking and multiple tires were flat. The shredded tires of the car were causing sparks to emit from the side due to the metal rims on the asphalt. A deputy began looking at the vehicle and spotted multiple pieces of shredded tire in the roadway on Buena Vista Boulevard near St. Catherine Place. By the time the deputy caught up with the vehicle, the tires were torn off the rim, leaving the rims to be balding on the asphalt. In addition, the front bumper was not intact and was hanging from the vehicle. When the deputy approached the vehicle, there was a strong odor of burnt rubber and burning metal. Martinez admitted she had been drinking alcohol. She had a hard time standing and nearly fell over. The Portland, Maine native was asked to rate her level of intoxication on a scale of 1 to 10, with 10 being very intoxicated. "I'm not going to lie. I'm an 8, she said. She said she has meniscal injuries to her knees, so instead of the regular field sobriety exercises, she was asked to use her fingertip to touch her nose and to recite the alphabet. She failed to meet the standard in both exercises. She provided breath samples that registered .99 and .098 blood alcohol content. She can't hold her liquor very well." A woman living in a villa in the Villages has been accused of committing fraud and theft. Pamela Lynn Lotta, 73, who has been living at 822 Gaffney Street in the Stillwater Villas in the village of Virginia Trace, was arrested by Sumter County Sheriff's deputies this week on charges of fraud and theft. The villa is owned by a trust, and the tax bill is sent to an address in Colorado. A woman living out of state contacted law enforcement after she found that Lotta had been writing herself checks from the woman's account, according to the arrest report. The checks totaling $4,500 and were written from the woman's Suncoast Credit Union account. The woman said she and Lotta are estranged, and Lotta did not have permission to write the checks. Surveillance images from the credit union confirmed that Lotta had cashed the checks. Lotta, who is driving on a Colorado driver's license, has criminal histories in California, New Mexico, Pennsylvania, West Virginia, as well as in Florida. Lotta was taken into custody and booked at the Sumter County Detention Center. Good. Keep her there. An unlicensed driver from Nicaragua wound up behind bars when she was caught speeding on a busy thoroughfare in the Villages. An officer observed the driver of a white Ford pickup truck, later identified as 21-year-old Annabelle Francesca something Souza. Name will be in the picture. Speeding northbound on Megason Road at the village of St. John's around 1:15 p.m. Wednesday, according to the arrest report from the Wildwood Police Department. She was traveling at 50 miles per hour in a 35 miles per hour zone. The officer stopped the truck and asked Souza for her driver's license and paperwork. She indicated that she did not speak English, so he asked her to write her name on a notepad. She wrote Annabelle Souza, which is not on file, the report said. The officer then located a purse on the passenger seat and found a California identification card inside. And Governor DeSantis said, "Don't come here from California with an identification card because we will deport you immediately." That's what he said. This is the case. The officer confirmed that Souza has never obtained a driver's license in the United States. Souza was arrested on a charge of operating a motor vehicle without a valid license. She was also issued a citation for speeding. She was transported to the Sumter County Detention Center and released after posting a $150 bond. That's not supposed to happen. I don't get it. I don't understand what the deal is here. A Michigan snowbird was knocked from a golf cart after a villager driving a sport utility vehicle turned directly into his path. The 76-year-old Michigan man was at the wheel of a yellow 2017 Yamaha golf cart at about 4:30 p.m. Wednesday, traveling north on the golf cart lane on Canal Street, approaching the intersection of Shellbark Way, when a 71-year-old Village of Sable Chase woman was driving a white 2021 Ford Explorer, also heading north on Canal Street, according to the accident report from Florida Highway Patrol. The woman driving the SUV made a right turn directly into the path of the golf cart. This is what I'm talking about. This is what I've mentioned before up there on Morris Boulevard. The biggest problem up there is two things that I've seen. One is speed, obviously, but we'll throw that out. Speed is definitely a problem with cars, not golf carts. Cars traveling too fast. But the one is people in the golf cart lane, I've seen them do it. They'll turn left at the next intersection from the golf cart lane instead of merging over into traffic. That's totally wrong. Second one is people in cars will see golf carts. They're going to turn right up ahead. They know they're going to turn right. They'll speed up to get right in front of that golf cart and then make a right-hand turn in front of that golf cart, and he can't get stopped. The biggest problem with Morris Boulevard is stupid drivers doing stupid things. His golf cart hit the curb and overturned. The woman driving the SUV made a right turn directly in front of the path of the golf cart. The Michigan man swerved to the right to try and avoid the collision. His golf cart hit the curb and overturned. The Michigan man was thrown from the golf cart onto the pavement. He was transported by an ambulance from the village's public safety department to Ocala Regional Medical Center. His 75-year-old wife was traveling as a passenger in the golf cart. She escaped injury. The villager driving the SUV was ticketed on a charge of failure to yield at an intersection. I'd say that cop cut you a little bit of break on that ticket. He could have got you with reckless driving. Trust me, that's a serious offense. Okay, how many holes in ones of golf did we get this week? 2. We got 2 holes in ones. Let's see what they are. Carol O'Gorman of the village of Hammock at Finney got a hole-in-one Tuesday, February 25th at Red Fox Executive Golf Course. That's all it says. Well, congratulations on your hole-in-one, Carol. I played Red Fox and was the other one, Gray Squirrel, I think, when they were brand new. Not bad executive golf courses. They're pretty good. George Odom of the village of St. Charles scored a hole-in-one on Thursday, February 27th. At hole number 9 at the Mira Mesa Executive Golf Course. Well, congratulations on your hole-in-one, George. Beer's on you, buddy. Well, how about we do everybody's favorites, letters to the editor, see what everybody else is complaining about. To the editor, traffic congestion at the intersection of State Road 44 and Morris Boulevard plus CDD6 Supervisor Pete Mueller comments are quite laughable. This traffic congestion is not new and could have been preventable if CDD6 Supervisor Mr. Mueller, Sumter County officials, plus the Morris family had been paying more attention to area development than to their wallets. Now we will have to wait for a required number of traffic accidents plus deaths before anything is done. This problem is only going to increase exponentially because of the additional development land east and west of State Road 44, 2 I-75 and Leesburg, and the expansion of 301 South. We can only guess who has the first options to buy on all this developed land. Oh, we don't have to guess. No, I do not have a solution, but would be willing to be on an action group to solve the growth of traffic congestion. Yes, it is going to take money, and we know who will now have to pay for the solution now. That's sent in by Jack Dreyer from the village of Chitty Chatty. You're exactly right, Jack. This seems to be the game here. Let's just get it done. To the editor. I have lived here since 2007, and the one thing that made me want to live here was that there was a cap on the amenity fee. Since the cap was lifted, my amenity fee has gone up exponentially. So I urge the board to put the cap back on at the next meeting. If and when we need money for projects, then why not make it the same for everyone and not based on an unfair CPI system? That's sent in by Joyce Wigand from the village of Amelia. Well, thank you, Joyce. To the editor, who is throwing the Fireball liquor bottles and cigarette butts onto the grass and street along the Hogeye multimodal path between the Water Lily Bridge and Everglades Recreation Center? Please stop. Your neighbors kindly ask you to dispose of them properly, as we are tired of picking up after you. That's sent in by Jennifer Thomas from the village of Marsh Bend. Well, Jennifer, there's always a pig somewhere. Okay, I think that's going to be it for the news this week. And as always, I dedicate my news on this channel to all my members, my YouTube members, and most of all, my Patreon members. If you're not a Patreon member, I do encourage you to join. You can join for as little as $2 a month to see what's going on there. And once you do join, I will send you a link to our members only Discord, where you can go in there and talk to them. There's hundreds of people on there now, and you can talk to them about the villages, all the things that they know and can talk to you about. Who's your favorite contractor? Who mows your grass? Who did you get as a realtor? Did you get 2 realtors or did you get 1 realtor? All these questions that people don't seem to understand, go there and ask them. They'll tell you. And they also go on there. Sue's got a little link on her in there for her. They go in there and they share recipes. They share food experiences at restaurants. They show pictures of what they've ate, where they're at, and then fun stuff. Sometimes Jose will share him and his grandchildren when they come here. He takes them out. Recently, I think he took them to that new Crumbs cookie. I guess it's just Cookies place. He took his granddaughter there, and so he shared that picture. We have several people on there that are very, very important, and you can have private discussions with them. For example, we have the Medicare expert on there. He's part of my Patreon, and he's on Discord. You can ask him about Social Security questions, insurance questions in Florida, things like that. We also have a professional hairdresser. I know he cuts men's hair too, but basically he's a professional hairdresser for women. That's all. I'm probably saying this wrong. Hairdresser, I don't know. Beautician, but you can talk to him. You can make your appointments on there. You can ask questions about certain things. I don't know. There's just all kinds of people on there that do a lot of different things. We also have friends on there that has a house in the Keys. So if he was interested in Keys, where to go, where to stay, what to do, they can answer your questions there. Just all kinds of people on there. And so, we encourage you to go there because there's so much information there that's well worth the $2 a month if you want to join at that level. And it doesn't make a difference what level you join. You all get the same. I'm not going to divide it up anymore like I used to. It's too much work. I'm trying to make life easier not only for you, but for me. So before you drop $500,000 down here, know the full story about everything. It's a great place to live. I'm here, but there's things that goes along with it. And there's problems coming up in the future. So I'm just going to get out of here now and just simply say, be well, be safe, take care, be aware, take care of your health. The health is the only thing you really have.
And don't leave your key in that golf cart.
This week's news is brought to you by my YouTube and Patreon members.